And there we go. Hello, Ruta.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. It's been very unexpected to get this.
Well, we wanted to interview a few previous alumni of Swiss Education Group Schools, and Annie Dunning, who I'm sure you'll know very well, put your name forward because she knows you very well, and she knows that you had a good experience over in Switzerland, and so it was really just a brief chat to find out how you came across the organisation, how you chose your course, what your plans were, what you wanted to do, and how it all unfolded. Now, obviously, as you were just saying a second ago off camera, it's lockdown day, isn't it, in London? So it's not quite as expected.
No.
But hopefully this will provide a little bit of a distraction from the everyday,
from a day-to-day grim,
day-to-day mundanity. So, well, it's very nice to meet you anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Alex.
Could you give me a bit of information on what you're up to now? I think you mentioned that you were moving jobs. What stage you're at?
Okay. So I've been working in my current company. So I've been working for Compass Group and specifically for Rapport for over 6 years now. And I have sort of progressed in my career sort of in terms of hospitality and what I've learned back at Swiss Education School. So I was in hotels when I moved to London back in 2007. It's been a long time, and sort of worked in different hotels and did kind of a few different jobs, and then got into Rapport back in 2014 and worked my way up from working from a unit manager, kind of working for a contract, one of our contracts. I moved a couple of contracts there. And then back in 2018, in the summer, I was promoted to a head of operations. So I'm a part of the strategy team for Rapport. And I've just kind of done that. And then sort of, not accidentally maybe, but I was kind of contacted via someone that I knew back in the summer and said, there is a potential new role with us. Would you be interested? And, like normally I wouldn't in that, because normally it would be very interesting because obviously normal times is, new job, let's see what it is. And obviously we were in during the coronavirus lockdown and everything is like, I'm not sure, and obviously then started talking to people, started talking to clients and things like that, and made a decision that this is the right one to move to the new role. So you
very much worked your way up, haven't you?
I have. So kind of if I go back all the way through to my career is, started with my internships, which were very sort of basic, where I worked in a restaurant, as a waitress, because that was a part of the whole, you do your first year and you focus on service and the kitchen and all of that. And then you go away and you do your internship. So I really, really followed that. My first year was all concentrated on food and beverage, and I worked in a restaurant as a waitress. My second year, we studied a lot of sort of a bit more about in terms of housekeeping and the management and all of that. I went away and I did my internship in housekeeping. And then my third one as well, kind of housekeeping got me hooked, if I can say, if that's the word. And I kind of stayed in housekeeping. So when I graduated, I got a job in London, and then I moved here. I actually had two jobs. I had one job in London and I had a job in Dubai. And
commuting between the two?
Yeah, and then kind of a lot of my friends didn't have any jobs to go to, and they're like, where shall we go? What shall we do? We'll just go to London. And I was like, fine, I'm coming with you.
It's a default sometimes, isn't it?
Exactly. And then, and I've been here sort of ever since. I sort of started working in housekeeping, did that and progressed my career in housekeeping, which a lot of people find bizarre and don't understand why. And that kind of housekeeping was always my thing. And sort of started really working my way up. I started working as a floor supervisor, did that, then moved away and worked at the Royal Household for a little bit as well. An assistant to the house manager in there for one of the royal families, and then I joined a boutique hotel in Shoreditch, where I was a head housekeeper. Then I was promoted into operations manager, and then I went and joined a sort of a larger boutique hotel group as a head housekeeper for one of their flagship hotels. And then about, and then I completely kind of moved away from the day-to-day hotel and kind of went into a different type of hospitality, which I very, very much enjoyed. And I think, you know, if it wasn't for the experience that I had in 5-star hotels, I wouldn't be where I am today, because in Liverpool, we all about the 5-star service and sort of, you know, giving the experience to people. And I think it really kind of helped me to adapt my skills.
Well, I have to say that it's the whole 5-star aspect of things that the Swiss Education Group are all about. How did you come into contact with them, and where did that kick off, and how long ago?
Oh, you know what? That was a really funny thing. I never thought about studying hotel management. Sorry, and when I was in Lithuania, I was thinking either I'm going to economics or law, because that was a default thing to do. Everyone would do that normally, and I was thinking, and then the last couple of months just before my A-levels, a friend of mine who I was studying with in high school together, she's like, oh, you know, we have this Swiss Education Group. They're coming to do a presentation, and I've been thinking about hotel management. And she's like, do you mind just coming with me to the presentation? And I was like, hotel management? Because back at home, it was, you know, it was a degree. And then, so I did that. I went with her, and I kind of got interested, and then I went back away and spoke to my mum and my family and said, you know, I've went to this, and it looked actually quite interesting. And my mum said, okay, well, you know, would you be interested? I said, I don't know, maybe. And we were actually going skiing. I think it was like April or March time. And we were not far away from SHMS, from Montreux. And she's like, well, listen, while we're here, why don't we, I think it was like a couple of hours drive, why don't we just drive and see, you know, what they are and how they are and everything. So we've arranged a meeting there for me to kind of go as a show around. And I looked at it, and I really kind of liked it. And then I said, well, listen, I'll just try and see if I can get in, you know, and then kind of choose. And then I did get in. And then it kind of just happened like that.
What was the interview process? How did that all unfold then? So, I mean, you turned up sort of almost unannounced, and then did you have a look around and then apply after?
Yeah, so basically what it was, I think I was in touch with some, because I had contacts from the people that came to do the presentation. Sorry, maybe I'm just going to close my blind so you can see my face. Oh, it's worse now.
Switch the lights on.
So basically what happened was, because I had contacted the people who were doing the presentation. I think, if I can remember, I mean, that was a long, long time ago. I mean, that was 2003. So
wow,
long, long time ago.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think I just said, listen, I'm going to be in the area. Would somebody mind showing me around? And I remember somebody did show me. I think maybe it was Diane, but I can't remember now exactly the person. So it literally took me around, and it was during the term as well, so I could see sort of, you know, students where they were interacting. I got the chance to see the rooms, the accommodation where we would be staying, sort of gave us, you know, if you stay in this room, if you stay in that room, and kind of that. So yeah, it was just, you know, we walked around the grounds. You know, SHMS is I always say, I've traveled a little bit in my life. But I think, you know, Montreux is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. And especially when you're up on that mountain, oh my God,
yeah.
You know, you don't see a view like that anywhere else.
Almost reason enough to apply, isn't it?
Exactly. So yeah, and that's how it kind of happened. And I think the interview was, I had to sort of submit my grades. I don't exactly remember what they were, but I think, you know, obviously English was one of the things, and because everything was done in English. And then I got an acceptance saying that you have been accepted. So it very, very quickly. And I think because I didn't think about it, it was a short period of time where I was like, oh my God, I'm in. Okay, I'm going to Switzerland.
You didn't have time to overanalyze it, and you just kind of got a good feeling about it and went for it. Yeah, I normally tend to do that. I tend to. Sometimes things just happen and you're like, no, I do have a good feeling about it. So. Yeah, you go with the flow when you know it's going well. So, that's great to hear. And which of the 5 schools did you actually end up attending?
So Swiss Hotel Management School, so SHMS.
Okay. Yeah.
So up in the mountain. And then I also, so I did my graduate degree in there. So I did my first 3 years. And then my last year I did my BBA, which was down with HIM, Hotel Institute in Montreux. So yeah, so I've done the two.
So you were there for quite a while then?
I was there for 4 years, yeah. So I would do the term, the autumn term from September all the way through until the end of January. And then we would do our internship, and then we would come back for the second term. So I did the full thing.
And then you came back to London and started your career, did you?
Yeah, and then I moved to London straight away almost. So I remember I graduated in the end of January, and then I was in London already in February, and I started my job.
And do you think coming back from somewhere like Switzerland and the hotel schools there, did that instantly open doors for you? Did it was it highlighted, do you think, was it a highlight in your CV in terms of getting a job initially?
Absolutely. I think, one of the things I remember when I was in my third year, for example, I got a job with Mandarin Oriental, which is a very well-known hotel group around the world. And I remember when I was in my third year, Mandarin would come out and they would interview postgraduates, looking for people wanting to go for internships. So, obviously that was one of the things I think, that the company was looking at. And again, I started from very, very low, from the beginning, basically from scratch. But I think, yeah, definitely, and when I went for interviews with different jobs afterwards, there was always been something that I've always been asked. So I think, that Swiss education on your CV is definitely helpful.
Yes, of course. And have you actually worked out? Have you stepped aside from hospitality at all in any of your career choices, or always stayed within hospitality?
It's always some sort of hospitality.
Yeah,
I very, very much enjoy that. I never thought I will. I think when I look back now, and I think I can't imagine myself being a lawyer or working in hedge fund or something. It's just not me. I am a person, I like to do I'm quite thorough in things, but I also very much enjoy the people aspect, and things that you are exposed in hotels, I think, in terms of your career, you are exposed to a lot of things. So, whether is it customer service, is it finance, is it all of these things. So, you get, depending on which role you're doing, you get to do a lot of things, and I think, even going back 6 years ago, I've done a lot, I would be exposed to a lot of things. And I think, then you can kind of choose what you want to do. And I think, especially with my current job as well, I think, I worked my way through. When I joined the company, I had some experience already that I could utilize it.
Yeah. And do you find then that there are different disciplines when you were studying? I mean, it's a long time ago now, but when you were studying them, did you have a favorite sort of module or a favorite area of study that you really wanted to excel in? Or you found yourself excelling?
I don't think I've had sort of a favorite. I think it was just because it was so new and it wasn't something that we had back at home and I would have experienced. So I think, your first year, you get to learn all about kitchen and service. And, I would never have thought that you need to, you can know all of these things. And I think it's really interesting and intriguing. And, I think the education that the Swiss Education Group offers, it's so varied and it's so big, and you get exposed to a lot of things. And I think, the beauty of it, and then, you're kind of your third year and your BBA, you can choose the path you want to go to, whether it's events, whether, it's kind of more financial side and all of these things. And I think, after you've done the couple of years, you kind of get understanding, a little bit when you're 20, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
But, some people, for example, I have friends who've been in the operation from when they still are in the operation and they absolutely love it. For me, I was always kind of understanding more the back of house and how it works and, how hotels are run. Because, it's not that if people think, it's just easy. You come in and you do a couple of things and it happens. It doesn't, magic doesn't happen just like that,
Yeah.
A lot of hard work, but I think the experience and the exposure you get with Swiss education because, you know, it's definitely very valuable.
And what about the lecturers? Did you have any mentors or people? Because we've heard a lot about the influence that they have on some of the students. Some alumni stay in touch with them. It's sort of well documented that they seem to get to know the students almost individually, certainly by name and recognition. But they know where the students excel and they're there to support them. Did you find that about them as well?
I did, and I think, you know, one person I will definitely remember was Mr. Donghauser, and he was our dean at the time at SHMS, you know, and he was our dean all the way through when I was there. And I think, you know, he was teaching us a couple of subjects, but I think he was more, I think I was looking at him as the person as he was, you know, and learning more sort of his people skills and how he pulled everyone together, you know, and how he knew everyone. And I think, for example, now when I manage large teams, it kind of always comes back to me, you know. I might not necessarily remember what he taught me in that specific subject, but I think his overall as a human and how he was and you know, how he was in his job has definitely, you know, made an impact on me.
Yeah, it's really important to have that, I think, from a teacher, because we've all had teachers and influences on our past life that we still remember, and actually having that to just almost like sitting on your shoulder, just, you know, as a comfort almost and a bit of inspiration, really can help.
Yeah, definitely.
And so here's the next question for you. What's your future plans? Are you've just left your job? So tell me about what you've just left.
So no, I haven't left. I'm in the process sort of handing over. So I'm going to be leaving at the end of this month, and I'm starting my new role next month. So what I'm currently obviously doing as a head of operations, I look after a number of clients that we work with. So, you know, it can be law firms, it can be financial institutions, it can be property management companies. So a lot of that. And what we do, you know, we manage the front of house services for them. So my responsibility as a head of operations is making sure I support my clients and I support the managers that report into me. So we provide that, you know, the best service. So I've been doing that, and sort of my role, you know, is quite varied and flexible, you know, where we get a lot involved, you know, in building relationship, you know, managing people, you know, dipping in and finances and all of these things. And sort of my next role is going to be quite new to me. So I'm going to be working for one of the very large property management companies, and I will be sort of working for one of their clients where I'm going to be their customer experience manager. So helping them out with their operation here in London, but also helping them with the expansion within Europe, because they are an American company. And again, I think what I do now, it's going to be a bit of it, but I'm going to be learning quite a lot.
Yeah, but you'll be able to apply so many of your skills that you've picked up over the last 15 odd years into this new role for this new company.
Exactly. And I think, you know, one of the things obviously was for them, I think, you know, when I was applying for the job was, you know, my experience in kind of the different sectors, but different maybe sort of disciplines, I would say, you know, and, you know, what I've picked up, but it was always kind of working for that 5-star background, you know, starting from with my education and, you know, hotels in London, the royal household, and kind of, you know, now where I am. So yeah.
Wow, it's really exciting. And ultimately, do you see yourself running your own business one day, or do you prefer to help others run theirs?
I think, you know, my little dream was when I went to Switzerland was to have my little own boutique hotel somewhere in the mountains. You know, that's the dream. Whether it's going to happen, I hope so one day. But I think, you know, going back to kind of my hospitality roots where I started, that's definitely something I think I would like to do in the future. Might not be 5 or 6 years, might be 10, 15 or 20 years.
Who knows anything at the moment, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But I think, you know, kind of, you know, being able to, I think, have a business and doing work that you really, really enjoy, but also is providing that joy to people, you know, when they come to you, and, you know, gaining that experience, you know, where you have to give that personalized service, you know, which is, you see the sort of the look on people's faces, and it's just priceless, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
they know.
So, yeah. Exactly. So I think, having something of my own, no, I don't want to have a 200 bedroom hotel. That's not my thing. having something small, and having something unique, I think that would be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, great. Well, I can't think of anywhere better to set you up in that than the places you've worked and the education you picked up as well. It really does seem to have set you on the road.
Yeah.
And you've never really had any doubt about staying in the industry, have you? Because with your grounding, with your education as it was and your background, it just seems like there is no other path. You mentioned law, you mentioned economics earlier.
Yeah.
Management.
I think, when we were studying, there were quite a few people, who would maybe start their first year and, and obviously your first year, you're kind of, testing the water and you understand, is it for me? Is it not for me? Do I want to do that? Do I see myself doing that? And I think, that's really, really important. And I think that's a good thing, what the Swiss Education Group gives you that access, to different things. And depending at what age you do it, you might know, you might not know. But I think, there were people who would do their first year and say, actually, this is not for me. And this is not, and that's absolutely fine. Not everyone can do that specific job. But I think, that's what it gives you, gives you the overview of what, your next years will be looking like. And, having access to people who have already graduated and have made a career out of this, I think, gives you understanding what I could be doing, with our other chapter presidents, when we talk, everyone is doing so many different things.
Yeah.
And it's just mesmerizing, but everyone always kind of goes back to that, to that core. But everyone is involved in some sort of hospitality way. I know someone, who manages a big airport, in America, so just things like that, and I think what people sometimes think who are not maybe exposed to that information is, if you're studying hotel management, you can only work in a hotel. Definitely not. That's definitely not the case. Because it teaches you so many transferable skills. You can do a lot of things afterwards in life.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's the main point, in a way, that people don't necessarily realize when they're first studying it, as you were saying, but that becomes clearer to them as they progress through the course, and they realize that actually all of their skills they're picking up are transferable to so many different, diverse and disparate industries and sectors, that it can really open up opportunities. It's rare, but it's really refreshing to meet someone like you who, despite all these other opportunities, ultimately is staying or has stayed within hospitality itself. And it's great. I mean, the fact that people can move is one thing, but when they don't, it's another, because it's an indictment. It's a sign that hospitality it can be addictive.
Yeah, I think so. I think, they say once you're in it, that's it, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think, also depends how long you stay in it. If it's just a bit, then but I think, one thing I would say what, Switzerland and Swiss Education Group was just seeing the world in a different way, because, what I got when I went there for my first year, I was studying with people from 60 different nationalities. And me coming from a tiny little country in Eastern Europe, where our population is 3 million people, we don't get exposed to these things. Yeah. If you travel, that's one thing. But when you live, and we have to, and I think, especially in Swiss Education Group, you study, you live, you eat, you do everything in the same campus. You all of you together all the time. And I remember my first year, it's like, oh my God, I had friends from all over the world. And I think that is fantastic, because unless, you go and live in cities like London, maybe, New York or somewhere like that, where you are exposed to all of these different cultures, you don't get the opportunity to see that. And I think, having that understanding is very, very important, for you broadening your horizons. That's one thing, learning new cultures, because whether you know it or not, you're adapting it in your everyday life, you adapting it while you're working because, you know, okay, I need to do this in a certain way because I know this is going to work. You know, so I think that's what it gave me. And I think that exposure to so many cultures, to so many people, I think, you know, that's the biggest thing I would say I value that I've taken away is having sort of that, I don't know.
Multiculturalism.
Exactly. And I think, you know, like we as humans, whenever you sort of, the cultural understanding and everything is very, very important in any type of job you do, whether it's finance, whether it's hospitality, whether it's anything else. I think, you know, it's because you have to interact with people, whether we're doing it or we're doing it face to face, we still have to interact with people. And I think, you know, kind of going through the years and learning that gives you that very, very good background.
Yeah, I have to say, I do miss interacting with people on a one-to-one basis. I hope we get back to that soon because this, you know, Zoom's good in the interim, but it can get a little bit wearing after a while. But listen, today has been an absolute inspiration to speak to you. It really has. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alex.